with the director's cut method, or trying to get more people to read your paper and things like that. My name's Tom Render, obviously with SciPod. If you don't know who we are, what we do, we help researchers get more visibility of their research, help with their communications, some sort of outreach, public engagement is the type of thing that we do. And then ultimately the purpose to be leading people to either read your paper more, try and build partnerships, that sort of thing. If you want to know more, you can go to getascipod.com. There's a little letter there to explain what we do and how we do it. Pretty straightforward. We've helped over 4,000 different researchers or something like that now. So quite a few. We've learned a few things. So I just want to share some insights of how you can get more people to read your papers and ultimately get more citations and things like that, because that's obviously important for you guys. And there's a few, I would say, misconceptions about the role of something like outreach or public engagement, knowledge transfer, whatever you want to call it, and how that affects your paper. So most researchers get to a point where they've written their paper, it's been submitted, or it's about to come out, or it's already just come out, something like that, and then they suddenly think, how can I get more people to see it? Because perhaps you're going to send it out to your direct sort of peer group and people that you know, and people within your space are probably going to find out about it, that sort of thing. But you want to go beyond that and really get bigger exposure, and obviously then there comes the question for any publicly funded project is how am I going to reach my outreach or public engagement criteria, and things like that are often written into grants. They are written to an extent, but they can work together to achieve both goals, and ultimately keep everybody happy. And the way that I want you to think about it is through sort of Hollywood and how they produce movies, as being a kind of mini scenario for yourself, kind of a metaphor, if you will. So the director's cut was made in interviews, and it's got the extended edition, the alternative ending, and all the bells and whistles for the sort of hardcore fans. That's how I want to see your paper. That is for everybody who wants to know everything that you've done about your research is obviously going to be in that paper. And then if you take one step back from that, in terms of Hollywood, they obviously have produced their feature-length film. And that's your film, and it's obviously not a feature-length film. You don't mean to produce some sort of 3-hour type thing, just a well thought out piece. It could be 10-15 minutes long, could be half an hour, if it was like a video or podcast or something like that. If it's a written blog, perhaps it's 500 to 1,000 words, maybe it's 1,500, something like that. But it's a layman friendly, inclusive piece of work that is, or if you're working with any businesses and things, or you go on to other people's, you have interviews and things like that, and you do outreach, you then can send everybody to this one piece, which will then give you exposure to some people then to go on to watch your director's cut edition, which is your technical paper. And that's the way I want you to see it, is like filtering down in the same way that Hollywood do these things. So they TV talk show, or you see posters for films or trailers, and things like that. That's what I would consider your social media activity, and that all points to one thing, which is this feature film piece. And I like the idea of doing that in a podcast, as obviously that's what we do, and I'm going to give you some reasons as to why we make that the main thing. We do produce articles and videos for clients as well. It's very easy. You send us your technical paper, we turn that into this kind of Hollywood piece for you. You keep control. We're never going to publish anything without your approval, but we just do all the work for you, is essentially what we do. So if you go to getascipod.com, you can check that out. Like I said, there's a letter there that will explain what we do. But the point is that once you go on to give a talk somewhere, whether it be physically in person or give an online interview, if you ask researchers, do they read every single paper that comes out, they say no, they read the title and the abstract. And then they choose whether they're going to read the whole thing or not. And this is kind of acting as that, where it could be a governmental official, funding agency, it could be anybody. They're going to look at this kind of bigger piece, this public engagement piece that you're doing, and kind of decide from there if they're going to read the paper. And that just gives you a lot more awareness, because it's so more accessible to many people, that somebody who's more, perhaps like a layman person, might think, oh, this is great, and then tag a friend or colleague or co-worker that is in that. That's what I wanted to explain on that. And then in terms of the medium, as I said, we prefer podcasts, and there's a reason for that. So people consume science in all mediums, written blogs and things like that, in video form, YouTube and places. You can go and you can find many different blogs and YouTube channels with science with millions of views. It's obviously a a good place, and that's why we produce those mediums as well. But we carry podcasts and audiobooks and things like that, and engages in what and where and how and all that sort of thing. And they found that in categories like blogs and YouTube and things like that, people are looking at a very big variety of things, and science and education isn't necessarily the highest thing. But in something like podcasts, for example, in terms of the categories that people can listen to, the number one listened to category is comedy, and then the second is education, science. People go to podcasts and audiobooks to learn stuff. That's what they do. Format than there is on say a YouTube channel, things like that. As I said, produce them all if you can. If you're only going to produce one, though, I would stick to an audiobook podcast type format, and that's what we do as the foundation piece for all of our clients, because it has the most amount of engagement. So again, if you want us to do it for you, we can. It's getascipod.com. As I said, just read the instructions on there on how to get that started, and I'll be here again giving you some more information next time. So see you all again soon. Bye.